This video is about a core revision strategy using mind maps, a learning technique that lots of us use, and I'm going to run through some guidance so that you can get the most out of the technique. First up, let's talk about when and why you should use them. A good mind map is like a beautiful and informative tree. It's organised, visually appealing, and reveals connections between its branches. It's got clear hierarchy and organisation. The map is ordered with main branches radiating from the central theme and sub-branches further elaborating on each main point. This allows for a logical flow of information. Mind maps are a form of transformative revision. You're transforming information from one format into another, and by doing that, you're processing the information, and that is part of how you're learning. If you're trying to revise from a knowledge organizer, this is perfect. Knowledge organizers have a lot of information on them, but it won't stick in your longer-term memory unless you do something with that information. Reading is not enough. It's only the starting point. The same is true of all kinds of revision material. Just reading the revision guide will not make it go into your long-term memory. You need to do something with it. Now let's talk about what you need. This is a great technique that requires only a revision resource such as a knowledge organizer, your notes from class or a revision guide, and a couple of coloured pens and some A4 paper. Creating a mind map should only take about 20 to 25 minutes, so it's a good activity for a Pomodoro. Be sure to check out that video if you haven't already. Here are 6 steps to creating effective mind maps. Step 1. Read through your revision material. You need to know what you're going to revise. There's too much info on most knowledge organisers for a single mind map, so you might need to section off a bit or do a particular topic. Don't go too big. Step 2. Create a central box and image on your sheet of paper. You don't have to be an artist to do this. A simple box with a label and a bit of colour is enough. If you fancy getting creative, have a go. But remember that this is just about learning a topic, not passing Art GCSE, unless, of course, the mind map is about passing Art GCSE. You can draw around the box that you've labelled. You want to make it memorable in some way. Step 3. Plan how it will look. You need to know how many branches to create before you begin, and also have a general idea of which bits will take up the most space. I've prepared 2 basic outlines that you can copy. The first is a fairly boxy design, and both have 6 branches. You can easily add or subtract lines or boxes for your own mind map. I've given the central box a token 3D edge, but I've tried to keep it fairly simple. The branches off are simple arrows to make it clear. My preferred design is more like this one. Again, I've gone with a 3D design to start, but it's a bit more organic and wavier. I'm not trying to make it perfect though, I'm just trying to find an easy way to create a visual representation of an idea. The box needs to be labelled with your topic. Step 4. Create branches to show detailed information. As you add information to branches, try to keep the word count down. Each line leads to a point, and you can describe the journey by labelling the branch. A word or 2 on each line is great. You might be tempted to use straight lines. Put the ruler away. I find wavy lines and wonky lines take a bit longer, look a bit better, and are more memorable. Step 5. Expand each point. Think of reasons, causes, effects, examples, or context. Each time you get to a point, think of 2 or 3 things you can say about it to develop that branch. Step 6. Don't worry if you go wrong. The process is the key thing here. Spending time summarising the ideas, including images, looking for the important points to emphasise. It's great if it looks lovely, but that isn't the goal. You can also look for links. Mind maps are all about spatial representation of information. They're designed to help you see the links between facts. Use more than one branch if you need to, and change colour for different ideas. Finally, check back through your revision material. Did you include everything? Can you add a bit to it by looking at a different revision resource? The example I'm showing you here was made by looking at a knowledge organiser for a poem called The Eden Rock, which is on one of the poetry collections for GCSE English Lit. I've taught lots of students who have done a more aesthetically pleasing version than my own here. Have a go and see what you can come up with, and use something like the blank versions as a starting point if you are not sure how you want to begin. Here are some tips to get the most out of your mind maps. When you create mind maps, think about the ways you can develop the visual appeal. Colours are used strategically to differentiate levels of importance, categories and connections. Images and icons can be used to enhance understanding and memory. Simple shapes, like a 3D box or two, will add a bit more of an anchor for the memory. You can also add little doodles to areas in exactly the same way. Quite often, I write in capitals as I create the mind map. This is because it's easier for me to read it later, but also the slightly greater time and effort it takes makes the information more likely to stay in my memory. However, I always get carried away with ideas and forget to write in capitals, so don't let little things like that put you off. You're still learning. Little mistakes don't ruin the mind map. The branches and connections flow naturally using an organic layout, so avoid rigid straight lines or overly symmetrical forms. This dynamic layout is aesthetically pleasing and reflects the non-linear nature of our learning. The map should not be overcrowded with information. Leave some clear white space so it allows for easy navigation and prevents information overload. There are different ideas about the usefulness of mind maps. For some people, the process of creating the mind map is the main part of the learning process. Doing the revision was creating the mind map. For others, they will keep the mind map and review it on one day and try to create it the next day. When they get stuck, they're working out what they don't know, and that helps guide their next bit of revision. You can use mind maps to test recall in this way. Enjoy making your mind maps. As you can see, they're useful learning tools. They transform wordy knowledge organisers into a series of links and give you something to be proud of. And of course, they will help you remember what you're learning. Whatever you do, make it work for you and start today, because then tomorrow will become a little bit easier. Please like and subscribe and be sure to check out my other videos on how to revise.